What's up, everybody? I'm Mr. Second Passport. Today, we are going to cover how much you need to retire in a place like Ecuador. Now, obviously, it's a much lower number than maybe if you were to retire in North America, right? But let's actually put a number to it today so that you can have an idea, right? No one ever puts a number to these things, but it would sure be interesting, wouldn't it? So let's try to do it today. Basically, to live down here in Ecuador, I've done it for almost a decade now, getting pretty close, and I've seen for a single person who's thrifty, sure, you can make it under 1,000 a month because healthcare costs are super cheap. Maybe you don't have a car, maybe you have a decent apartment just for you, a single person, for around 300-400 a month, right? And maybe you cook in a lot, and sure, you could do under $1,000. But if say you're a couple, say you're a single but not so thrifty, just kind of normal, but you don't want to penny pinch and have to worry about spending every dollar, and you don't want to have to, and you want to have a bit of a social life too, and be able to do other things as well, have a life, so to speak. Right, so for that, I would say 2,000 is a number that most people who live in Ecuador could say, yeah, you could live for 2,000, or a couple could pretty comfortably with the social life for under $2,000 a month. So if we take that amount, that's 24,000 in a year, right? And this is for here 2022 we're talking about here. And if we apply, say, the famous 4% rule, right, that would meaning we're allowed to take out 4% of our nest egg each year in retirement. And this is, of course, assuming that we don't have any other streams of income like a pension. But if we're just talking about pure nest egg size, for those of us with no pension, like myself, coming in, then, how big does your nest egg have to be? Well, if we took the 4% rule, assuming that we can invest our nest egg, making at least 4% a year, which is pretty easy and going to be even easier as the Fed raises rates here during 2022. They're said to raise, they're possibly this year, a whole nother 3% than what they've raised now. So you might be able to get this by the end of 2022, just putting your money in the bank. Who knows? We'll see. But it's pretty reasonable, even if you just invested in savings bonds or something, you'd probably be able to get 4%, is what I'm trying to say. So at 4% of your nest egg, if you just wanted to spend that each year and not touch the principal, then you would need $600,000 in order to live comfortably in Ecuador at $24,000 a year, if that makes sense. Say you invested in just an S&P 500 index fund, right? Stock index fund in the States, which pretty much any of us can do. And thanks to the low fees structure that it has, it's generated a 10.5% return since the 50s. Right, from the 50s, 1957 until 2021, on average, it's generated a 10.5% return on your money. Now, at this figure, right, then all you would need to live in Ecuador, the nest egg you would need, the amount, right, that would kick off 24,000 a year so that you could comfortably live in Ecuador is $230,000. Now, of course, this is going to be more volatile, and I like to say it's kind of like the admission ticket that you need. You need to accept the volatility if you want the higher return for the long term. Now, nobody knows what the market's going to do, obviously, over the next year or two, but over the long term, 10, 20 years or whatever, then you can pretty much count on what the S&P 500 has done over the last 60, 70 years, right? But, of course, there are the doomsdayers out there, which I am not one of them, who think that the whole thing's just going to come crashing down. I would think it's more probable that the market's going to keep doing over time what it's done over time in the past, right? So again, nobody knows what's going to do in the next few months, maybe in the next few years, but over time you can pretty much count on that 10.5% as far as what it's done. And again, you'd only need $230,000 nest egg in order to retire comfortably in Ecuador, and that's it. That's the number that you need. A lot lower than you probably thought, isn't it? I'm Mr. Second Passport. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe and the like button below. Take care.